You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionFit.com. Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. Time to rock out with everyone's favorite. I know it's my favorite. Hopefully it's your favorite bi-weekly source for all things options related. Yes, it is time once again for the Option Block. My name, of course, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Radio Network, your home for all of your favorite options podcasts. A lot of good stuff coming at you this week. And of course, if you want to hang out on the Pro, check out all the fun there. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go. But now we have to turn to the 80s Trivia Challenge. It was a fun contest last year. It is now kicking off again this year. Already into February, it's already having interesting fits and starts along the way. Who will emerge victorious in this year's contest? We will find out. Today's competitors, of course, Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, as well as the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. I introduce them now, listeners, because it is time to commence our 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. All right, and I was so busy before the show, I forgot and neglected to post a poll for our audience to choose. So that means I get to choose. Steelers' choice this week, what color we are doing out here. And let's kick things off. You know what? Last year we spent almost the entire year doing orange. I don't want to do orange. Didn't really work out for Uncle Mike that well anyway, so he probably doesn't want to do orange. He doesn't want to do orange again. So I'm going to go for this. There's a lot of interesting ones on this card. I just pulled a card at random, listeners, from our vintage 80s Trivial Pursuit, the old blue box edition, straight from the 80s. I'm going to go for pink for entertainment because we don't do that one very often. So get your hands on your buzzers, gentlemen. Who threw a badly aimed tomahawk on TV's The Tonight Show? Wow. Okay. That's a tough one. Any buzz? Oh, Andrew, you buzz. Go ahead.
I'm going to say the guy that played Tonto.
What's his name? I don't know what's his name?
Oh, I guess I don't know. Will Rogers. It wasn't Will Rogers.
I will look up the name of that person. No, it was Jay Silverheels. I don't think that's the guy you meant. But Uncle Mike, any guesses?
Can you repeat the question? It came across kind of low. I'm sorry.
Who threw a badly aimed tomahawk on TV's The Tonight Show?
I'll guess Ed McMahon.
You got the first name right. It was Ed Ames. I don't even know who that is, but Ed Ames threw it. So we're gonna go to a half point bonus question here. Let's go to Brown. Let's go to arts and literature. We're jumping all over the place today. Where did Hitler write Mein Kampf?
Vienna.
Well, no, they want the actual location.
I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
Prison.
Yes.
Hold it.
Yes, in prison. Uncle Mike.
That's bullshit. He was in Vienna.
But it was in prison. That is technically, in fact, that is literally what the card says. In prison. That's the point. Not the city, but the location where he did it was crazy. 1/2 point for Tosaw.
Oh, good. Next week, okay, Tosaw's in the lead. I get to pick.
No, we're having audience votes.
Ah!
Or me. Conf written.
I'll give it to him. I'll give Tosaw that. That was well done.
Oh, it was actor Ed Ames, my producer informs me, played Mingo on Daniel Boone. Okay.
Oh, okay.
There we go. And he attempted to throw a tomahawk, but he didn't. Instead, he threw the weapon directly into the crotch of a wooden target dummy, causing legendary, long-lasting laughter. Well, there we go. Legendary. So legendary that all of us remember it half a century later. As we keep rolling, it is time for the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
Uncle Mike raises a good point. I should take away a full point for the Rock Lobster for causing us to have the explicit tag on the old iTunes this week. But I will not. I will be a generous fellow. Are the markets generous out there, listeners? One more generous than that Super Bowl was last night, certainly. S&P up 0.5% again. So S&P, after getting it just whooped most of last week, roaring out of the gate on Friday and looking pretty strong again today, up about 0.5% or nearly 40 handles in the S&P today. The Dow, having been the belle of the ball for a lot of last week, kind of mixed to red today, but only slightly off, about 0.05%. And the NASDAQ, once again, getting the bit in its teeth, up about 1% right now. So again, kind of a weird end to the week last week, a weird start this week. We'll see if this is the trend that continues. We do have the non-farms coming up on Wednesday this week, which is kind of a weird day. It obviously got pushed because of the government shutdown. So kind of a weird thing out there lately. Some of these reports have not exactly been bangers, so maybe that'll already be priced in, or maybe we'll see some red on the screen post that. But we shall see out there. But right now, we're looking at some green out there on the screen for the most part, with the exception of the Dow. And VIX Cash was hanging out at about a 17 quarter, right before the show started. That puts it down nearly 3 points, about 2 3/4 points from where it was last week. Of course, the cash got into the 20 handle last week, up to about a 23 and change midweek. So interesting stuff out there in the market today. And VVIX hanging out right around 100 again. That puts it down 13 points from where it was on the show on Thursday. All right, out we go to the winner of our contest this week, Mr. Uncle Mike. If you have any enduring thoughts on Mein Kampf, by all means, have at them. Or maybe more appropriately, do you have any thoughts on the big game yesterday? And then what caught your eye in the market, sir?
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily want to be out there as gaining the lead because of my knowledge of Hitler. I don't know if that's really the message I want to portray.
Let's spend 2 hours talking about Mein Kampf.
That probably wouldn't be good for the show's image or mine, or pretty much anything at all for that matter. So, but with it, a couple thoughts on the game yesterday. Seattle's defensive line, this is the second Super Bowl in a row that the game was won by the defensive line. I really felt that the Eagles won the game last year because their defensive line was just amazing. And the Patriots this year, the Seahawks this year, their defensive line really did a great job. And the fact that the Patriots made it as far as they did this year, I think is really a testament to the coaching staff, the organization in general, because they had 2 rookies that were starting on their offensive line and a second-year quarterback, and they still almost pulled off a Super Bowl victory. So, I mean, Vrabel deserves the coach of the year, no question about that, with what they did, for sure.
It was a wild game. I will say this, you're right, the defensive line for Seattle was, if you can rush 4 and shut the other team down, you're pretty impressive. But that said, I dabble in some of these various, sports wagering binary markets. It's kind of fun. I don't do a lot that far ahead of the big game. And like a lot of people, I'm very reticent to give points on a lot of things. The second the Seahawks clinched it, and the second it was confirmed that it was Seahawks versus Patriots, I ran to my device, and I thought the spread was going to be -10.5, -12.5 for the Seahawks. When it was only -3.5 to start, I couldn't pick up my phone fast enough. By the time I got them at -4.5. I thought, oh my God, people are going to bid this all the way up to at least -12.5, maybe more. And then what ended up happening is the spread never budged after that. You could have gotten the Seahawks going into that game last night -4.5. The spread never moved, which meant there was money coming in on both sides. There were people taking the Pats +4.5, which to me was absolute madness. I didn't understand a single avenue to victory that the Pats had. And I'm an old school Pats fan from when I was a little kid. And I just didn't see any avenue to victory at all. I was kind of surprised at how unchanged that line was all week, 2 weeks. And I thought, well, maybe I'm the crazy person. Maybe I shouldn't have rushed to take them -4.5 2 weeks ago. And then it turned out to be a salient choice. But yeah, absolutely wild stuff. We need a whole binary prediction / wagering segment on the network, and we could have more conversations about that because that line was insane. But I digress. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what caught your eye? And did you give up 4.5 points for the Seahawks at all? Because that seemed to be pretty cheap.
I wish I would have now, but I try and stay away from the sports betting thing for a variety of reasons. But yeah, you obviously made a good call on that one. Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I guess that they just the people that were picking the Patriots had a lot more faith in the quarterback for the Pats, but in his defense, what they were doing to him a lot of the night was they were rushing extra men on one side. And I don't know if he has a specific check down he's supposed to do, or if a lot of times it was to Diggs' side, if Diggs was supposed to do a side adjust and run the route. But somewhere, somehow, with Seattle's secondary blitzing, when they weren't rushing four, whenever they would rush the secondary, it was just, they had such an impressive safety blitz too. And it was an impressive defensive whooping by the Seahawks.
It was a clinic. Everyone gets all hyped about, offensive play calling, getting these offensive minded coaches, but 2 years in a row now, defense has annihilated the other team in the Super Bowl. So yeah, definitely good old, that must be hard to hear for an old lineman like you, Mr. Uncle Mike, but yeah, defense taking it last couple of years, sir.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, like last year, it was the MVP of last year's Super Bowl was the Eagles defensive line. The MVP of this year's Super Bowl, it's just the Seahawks defense all around. No matter what they did, it just worked. And it was, if you like defensive football, then you've been very happy these last two Super Bowls. And if you like offensive markets, then you're happy again after what happened with the shellacking the market took the one day last week, and then we go up 2% on Friday. It's just all over the map. So if you're a day trader and you're managing risk well, you are definitely a very happy person these days in these stock markets, to say the least. With last week's action, with which we had on, I believe, Thursday, we're down. S&P is down, negative on the year. We're below the 6,800 mark. And then Friday, we go up 2% again. So it's been a lot of movement, and we're only 33 points away from a new all-time high again. So we're at a point in the markets to where a down day feels like a catastrophe, but then it feels so bad. But wait a second, let's go up 2% on Friday. It's just quite the movement, to say the least. It's entertaining for me to just watch the price bars on the daily chart to see what's happening in the market. That's like more entertainment for me than watching a TV show or a movie, I'm convinced. So we have that. Silver continues to roll around in the 70s. Silver was down a little bit more last week, but today silver is up $4 again. So now it seems like silver going up $3 and $4 a day is no big deal anymore. Last Thursday, silver actually got as low as 65, and had quite the movement with silver as well. So the metals aren't giving up yet. It seems like they're forming a bottom with where they are at this point. Bonds, there was a rush to safety last Thursday when we had the sell-off in stocks. So one of the good normal things in my opinion, is on last Thursday, there actually were a lot of bond buyers, and the bonds are actually holding pretty close to the levels with which they achieved last Thursday, even though the stocks are coming back to life. So the theoretical interest rate lowering environment with which we may or may not be entering. I think we are, but we may or may not be. Of course, you never know. Bonds kind of held their ground with going higher. So, with everything that we have happening with earnings, with non-farm coming up this week on a non-first Friday of the month day because of the shutdown, with we don't have enough time to even talk about all the geopolitical stuff that's happening. We're still 30 points away from an all-time high in the S&P 500. And that, my friends, is a resilient market, to say the least. And that's what I'm seeing.
A lot of resiliency out there in this market right now. Mr. Rock Lobster, we turn to you now, sir. Some interesting stuff afoot out here in this market. If you have any thoughts on the Super Bowl or perhaps the writing of Mein Kampf, have at it. Then B, what's catching your eye out here in these markets, sir?
Writing of
You're too busy saying 9. I should have gotten the points for Vienna. 9.
You know what? I gave some money to one of my coworkers. They had a pool for, she was doing like high school lacrosse, and I won. I won the last quarter square of the Super Bowl by some odd chance.
Sweet. How much did you win? A Lamborghini?
No. I think I gave him $100. I got 125 back. So I made a whopping 25% return.
Oh, $100. Those are rich squares.
Yes. Apparently they, this is a very, lacrosse. I don't know. Anyway. So, and also I tried to find the Super Bowl because I don't have any network TV, and I couldn't get it. I tried to log on to like an Amazon thing, and then I think I got a YouTube thing, but then the YouTube wasn't giving me, like, I thought I signed up for YouTube TV, and then the game was there, but the NFL logo was in the middle of it. I'm like, you know what? This is stupid. So I didn't even get past the first 3 minutes of the game. So one of these days, I guess I'll get network TV. Never. So I'm kind of in there. So there I am, a little bit bah humbly on the whole thing. But I did have wings and chili cheese dogs and twice baked potatoes. So I just watched it in front of a movie. Anyway, as far as market goes, I think last week was a kind of a seminal week. There's many things that happened. And one was the narrative for AI changed last week. So at 2025, it's like, invest tons of money in AI, you're going to make bulk. Remember Oracle going up $100, all kinds of stuff. OpenAI worth a fortune, all of this stuff. Now, after big tech earnings, and they made a ton of money, like record earnings everywhere. But they're going to spend 150 to 175 million.
They're spending the GDP of many small nations on AI.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's what makes America great, right? Companies are taking money, and instead of the government wasting, because we don't even know where money goes anymore with the government. I'm convinced nobody knows where the money goes. They spend trillions of dollars a year, and none of us know. So we're basically getting ripped off, but that's another side. But they are going to try to, make this. Now, who benefits from this? What's funny is, and I think ironically, how the market turned is that, maybe it's going to be harder for Google and Amazon and Microsoft and all these guys to kind of show the return for the money they're spending. That's actually, I think that that's a fair point, right? I mean, not many companies can spend $150 billion on So, and this is all being done privately, right? So the government, at least to my knowledge, is not involved. I'm sure they will be contracting for some of the benefits from. But and then the second part was, what does the software industry look like? Like a lot of stocks, like Fair Isaac, LegalZoom, all these kind of names, getting totally smoked, like annihilated. So where does the software industry go? And I, you know what, and I have this thing like, you go to Claude and you ask it to do. That was a big thing. Claude dropped these appliances and everybody freaked out. I use Claude a little bit because now I just dictate stuff. I dictate a lot of writing and dictate ideas, and then I have Claude organize the ideas, and I have them. Could I go back to it? Is it making me a little more efficient? Yeah, maybe a little more efficient. No, but I guess apparently that's going to look through a legal document. It's going to do all this kind of stuff. Again, accounting, you know, credit, taxes, and who knows how this all plays out. To be honest, but it's a fair question if you're a SaaS company, software as a service company, serve a 60, 70, 80 multiple for your stock anymore. And the market last week said, no, you don't. We're going to take 25, 30, 40% out of your. We're going to do it right now. So the market can be very punishing. And I think what will happen, but a lot of other companies will benefit. Let's say, like, is Option Pit benefiting from AI and helping us do a lot of stuff? Yeah, I would say, yeah, it is making us more efficient. And we're just one of many companies that are going to be a little. Funny thing is, we're not necessarily hiring less people. It's just the people we have do more. So I don't know other people listening to the broadcast. Is it now, would it slow us down possibly hiring people in the future? Possibly. And we'll see what the jobs data this week.
That ADP number seems to indicate people are slowing on their hiring.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing. I think it's kind of like with the tariffs last year. You're like, what's going to happen? Smoke kind of clears and you figure it out. And that is with a lot of disruptive economic change. There's a famous economic historian, Joseph Schumpeter, right? Schumpeter, creative destruction, where you create stuff and other things are going to be destroyed. Like nobody's crying over, the horse and carriage guy anymore, or the guy that used to deliver the ice to the. Got to be realistic. Now the funny thing is things very, very interesting. Things still need to be made, right? So I think companies like 3M, they still make stuff people use, all kinds of stuff. Because last year was all AI, it was all the Mag 7, and they were going to win everything. Now it looks like just for them to be competitive with each other, they're going to have to spend tons of money, and everybody else is going to benefit, which should make the market less volatile because more of the benefits will be spread out. This is just a theory. And I was hearing Mark talk about it today. And I think, that's what I wrote last week about the whole thing. Like the market will be less dependent on Mag 7. Oddly enough, the only Mag 7 stock I think that really does well with this. Nvidia is going to sell a lot of chips, but people are going to come after them for sure, is Apple, because they're not spending a lot of money on AI. They'll just borrow somebody else's or, license it or something. And Apple is one of the few of them that are very close to their all-time highs. So it's an interesting, somehow Tim Cook, I'll just give him credit. He's mostly financial engineered, got a lot of services connected to and all those things grow, I would guess, monthly, weekly, whatever. And people just don't give them up. So for right now, they found the magic bean. But can we rally on rallying? And if we have a broad-based productivity gain similar to the internet in 90s, early 2000s and all that, I go, yeah, we can. So it's going to end up weird, shaping up very much like the internet revolution.
It is interesting. I don't see the destructive side of the internet. I mean, maybe unless you were a librarian or a travel agent, they got hurt pretty bad by the onset of the internet. AI is going to devastate legions of. We know this. It's like a settled fact. I didn't see the destruction. You saw the productivity with the internet. You didn't see as much annihilation. If AI has its way, there are whole industries that are gone.
I mean, maybe. It's like you're going to have your AI do your taxes without, I don't know. Possible.
You know who wins in this? The plumbers, the roofers. We all work to send our kids to these really expensive, elaborate schools. The plumber is going to be the last man who laughs in this because robots aren't fixing your toilet.
Not yet. He's
got a job for life, and he's probably going to make good money his entire life and have actual skills, right?
Right. So you're right about did the internet maybe travel agencies and stuff like that. Will lawyers adapt? Will lawyers become? It depends on how it shapes up, but yeah, it definitely could. Again, like anything, having electronic plows and all of this, or machines farming, and a lot of jobs went away, but we eventually found new jobs. So I think the U.S. though might turn to be a little bit more of a manufacturing economy again. We'll see. Again, and here's the point: a lot of upheaval from this. It's not a. And by the way, does anybody really like talking to AI, at least right now, on the phone? Like talking to a person. You want to run a business and have people, have a person answer the phone. There's still going to be value in that, I think, because I certainly don't like talking to AI on the telephone. It's annoying as heck. So, but this literally transpired last week in about what? 200 points down SPX, 200 points up SPX, where there was a lot of money basically didn't leave. They just got out of one thing into another. And I think this as a trend I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I mean, the whole metal thing is off to the side from a volatility point of view. Nobody's even talking about Bitcoin losing half its value from the top or more. MicroStrategy is down 60. So we will have a Bitcoin meltdown. I believe Besant last week said the government ain't bailing out any Bitcoin. So
love it.
Unless we launch
finally some common sense.
Strategic reserve, then we'll bail it all out, baby.
Buy it all for nothing, just like we did in the great financial crisis. Buy all the banks for nothing.
I'll sell my domain to the government for millions.
There you go. Uncle Mike is the last man standing in the great crypto battle. Well, we'll certainly be talking about crypto a little bit later here on the network. And a lot of people have been talking, I think, about that meltdown. There was a lot of good trading. We were talking a lot about MSTU strangles in our pro towards the end of last week. And that was certainly a wild time going into MSTR earnings and the big Bitcoin sell-off in the after hours and then rebounding off 60K. If you like all that talk and crypto vol and everything else, stay tuned for the crypto rundown coming up after this show, listeners. We'll have a lot of fun on that one. Before we get there, there's a lot of fun left on this show. Let's go out to the markets right now. Are they having a lot of fun today? Well, it kind of depends where you're hanging out here. If you're hanging out in VIX land, then the answer is yeah, you're looking pretty spicy already. 665,000 contracts on the tape. The ADV is getting perilously close to 1 million contracts again. I always say that, listeners. I'm sounding like a broken record, but when we start threatening 1 million contracts a day in VIX land, you got to kind of sit up and take notice. Something is cooking in the market when the VIX is threatening 1 million contracts, and we are getting within spitting distance of that again. 933 is your ADV right now. By the way, if you're wondering, what is the hot option out there in VIX land today? It's the Feb 16 puts. They've already traded 75,000 times today for about a nickel. A little bit of a flyer. So we thought, what do you folks think? Are you down for a little bit of a flyer? Is this cheap enough for you? Or are you like, I'm not interested? And right now, 100% of you say you want to buy some for a nickel. You're going to take a flyer out there. So there you go. I just checked. They're about 6 at 7 now, so I think some folks have jumped in front of you. You might have to pay 7 cents now, but other folks are getting that idea. They want to take a little bit of a nibble. At least it's not the 15 strike. Number 2, let's do a quick top 5 really quickly in VIX land. Number 2, 48,000 of the Feb, 16 half puts. Number 3, about 27,000 of the Feb 25s. Number 4, 23,000 of the March 30s. And number 5 out here today, 23,000 as well of the March 25. So maybe we've got some March vertical action. I'll have to do some digging later after the show. SPY looking pretty spicy already today as well. 5.65 million contracts on the tape. The ADV, a little bit shy of 10, 9.8 million. Will it get there today? We'll see. Second half of the session is sometimes a big question mark. The S, right around 2.75 million contracts right now. The ADV, 4.5 million. Small caps, 1.15 million contracts on the tape already. The ADV, 1.9 million. We've been talking for a while about this rotation out of large caps into small caps, and small caps are certainly rotating today up to the tune of about almost 0.75% today. And the Qs not to be left behind, 2.85 million. The ADV, 5.7 million. Now, the Q's up 1%, and I hate to say only 2.85 million, but we have seen them obviously much more active this time of the show than they are right now. But we'll see if the second half of the session holds some mystery or perhaps some magic. Out to the realm of single names we go. Is there any mystery or magic to be found out there today? You know, we were north of 500. We were north of 550 on our show on Thursday. Thursday was an absolute banger in terms of activity and volume. One of the densest options volume days we've seen in quite some time. Can today hang with that? The answer is no. 362,000 contracts is what it cost you to break into the top 10 today. So almost 200,000 contracts exactly below where we were at this time of the show on Thursday. Number 10 gets us to our old pal HIMS. 1861 off nearly $4.50 or over 19%. It's been quite the journey for HIMS this year. They're off 26 handles or 58%. I know there's a few folks in our pro who've been trading a lot of HIMS of late, and certainly it's been a wild trade of late, down from $30 back at late January to about $18.60 right now. So almost cut in half over the last week and a half. This whole back and forth over this generic weight loss stuff really just spicing things up. Now Novo Nordisk is suing them. Just wild stuff out here. Number 10, HIMS, 362. Are you slinging any HIMS right now, listeners? Or is it too wild for you? Number 9, we got AMD. This name has been on a wild run so far this year. Started off looking really terrible. Then it started looking really good. Got up to about 260. And then it started looking terrible again. They took it all the way down to 192.5 last Thursday, listeners. Ever since then, it's been looking pretty good. It's up to right now 215.80, up about 7 1/3, about 3.5%. So nice little couple of sessions Friday and today for AMD. Still a wild year, still off 3.5% year to date, but starting to claw its way back. Number 9, AMD, 399. Number 8, good old Alphabet, 325.12, up about 2 1/4, about 0.75%. Alphabet year to date right now is up a little over 3%. Number 7, Palantir. This name is all over the place of late. They really shellacked it last week down to about 126 1/4. Looks like was actually 125.61. Wow, they really shellacked it last week. It is back north of that, nearly 20 handles, up another 8.5 handles, or a little over 6% today. So a wild year for Palantir. They're still off 14% year to date. So wild stuff. What's Uncle Mike going to do in Palantir? Maybe we'll find out later on the strategy block. Number 7, Palantir, 446. Number 6, Meta. You know, they crushed it down. They crushed it back up. They rallied it after earnings. It was a home run if you bought the pars, and they started crushing it again. They're rallying it again today, up 1860, trading 680 exactly right now, nearly 3% to the upside, putting up 459,000 contracts. For the number 6 spot, by the way, if you're wondering, Meta up about 4.5% so far. Year to date, keeping it in M Tech names. You know this name's not up for the year. This is Microsoft. They have been taking it on the chin. You know, they kind of have both sides of this fence because they're spending a ton on AI, and they're also a software company. So they have many irons in this fire. Microsoft, 413 right now. We talked about the pars going into their earnings a week and a half ago. Obviously, that trade didn't work out too well, and it broke through the par 400 strike in the other direction last week. Rebounding a bit today, up about $12 or nearly 3%, trading 413 right now. Year to date, they're still off nearly 13% or about 60 handles. So kind of a rough year out there for good old Microsoft, but a decent day out there today. Number 5, 545 on the tape. Number 4, the fruit company. Rock Lobster, just talking them up as one of the few that haven't spent all their life savings on AI. For whatever reason, all those names that have spent their life savings on AI are rallying today, and Apple is taking it on the chin. 272.5 off $5.5, or about 2%. So more sellers than buyers out there. And Apple's been on a very weird trajectory this year. I can't really come to grips with it. They couldn't sell off to save their lives last year. This year, they've had mostly red, aside from last week where they had post-earnings. The earnings were great, then the stock didn't really rally. Then they started rallying a few sessions later, and then they had a nice little run. Then they kind of started selling off again. It's been a very strange year for Apple. All this to be pretty much unched on the year. They're up about $1. So wild year out here for Apple, and an interesting day. Selling off hard today. Number 4, 801,000 contracts on the tape. Number 3, keeping it in A, tech names, the Amazonians. They put up good numbers last week, but also announced they're going to spend, the GDP of half of the developing world on AI. And everyone's like, you don't really have the cash flow to support this. So bam, there goes the stock. Amazon coming back slightly today, up about $0.10, trading 210.5. So they've had a rough start to the year, off 7.1% so far for the year. Number 3, the Amazonians, 1.19 million contracts. Number 2, Nvidia. Nvidia roaring back to life today, 191.25, up nearly $6 or a little over 3%. So this whole back and forth with OpenAI and them has really weighed on the stock of late. And then lately, apparently, they got down to 170 pretty much exactly. And now 21 handles above that for number 2, Nvidia, 1.25 million contracts. That means the big dog, once again, is Tesla, 418.40, up 7.3 handles or about 1.75%. Wild stuff out here in Tesla of late as well. They've been all over the place. What's going to be the hot option today in Tesla? We'll find out a little bit later today on the Hot Options Report. Earnings-wise, we still got some fun stuff popping off out here this week. We've got Coke tomorrow they're before the bell tomorrow. CVS, Marriott, and some dumpster fire called Ford after the bell. Also got Robinhood after the bell. Speaking of dumpster fires, my goodness, they've had a rough start to the year. I think to put it mildly off, nearly 25% or about 27 handles, trading below the par strike. First time in a while, $87 out there today. Actually rallying $5 today, so nice little pop today. This is a good little move. They've been very closely linked to the price of Bitcoin in the past, so Bitcoin tanking certainly hasn't been good for their stock, and that is one of the many stories that has been playing out there in Robinhood. We'll find out more, obviously, after the bell on Tuesday. Wednesday, you got Mickey D's, some crappy non-dairy company called Oatly. They're before the bell on Wednesday, so get all your juicy premium sales in by Tuesday. And then, of course, cover your ears, Uncle Mike, Cisco. Then Thursday, we got Crocs. We got Coinbase talking about closely linked to the price of Bitcoin. Coinbase. Then we got Rivian. They've been an interesting one to watch of late as well. They got the new R2 coming out. Is that going to change the game? And then speaking of the game, DraftKings, the big game. It's been a rough time for these betting outlets with all the prediction markets stealing a lot of their thunder. FanDuel getting in bed with CME. We haven't really seen that from DraftKings. Is DraftKings going to get in bed with SIBO or something? Maybe we'll find out on the earnings call. And then Friday, we've got Moderna and Wendy's. How's that for an interesting mix on earnings season? If you want to check out all the reports, you know where to go. TheOptionsInsider.com, because now it's time for us to go to the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by TheOptionsInsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
right, everybody, let's get down to business. Let's talk some odd flow. They don't get much odder these days than cheapy biotechs, and that's where we're kicking things off. We're going out to Mura, or Mura, perhaps, one or the other. Mura Therapeutics, ticker symbol NMRA, trading $2.42, up 30 cents today, or a little over 14%. So a nice little juicy pop for Mura today. Out here on the year, it's kind of been a lot of back and forth, but they are net up 65 cents, or about 36%, so a good little year for them. They crushed them all the way down to 61 cents last April, so you could have bought the forever call for 61 cents, have a nice 4Xer on that right now. They did take it as high, though, as about 3.25 in October of last year, so you missed getting out at the apex if you did have that stock. So been an interesting run out there, and what did we spot out here today in Mura? Looks like maybe a bit of a size risk reversal. Let's find out, listeners. We first noticed the July 2 puts going up for a juicy $1. The market they got was 45 cents at $1. 2 puts for $1? I mean, you're going out to July, but still, wow. That's a juicy put. On the market, again, 45 cents at $1.70, so kind of splitting the uprights there. And then at the same time, we also noticed the July 2 half calls going up for $1.25, 5,000 times. And that market was 45 cents at $1.65. So these markets are so wide you could drive 15 autonomous trucks through them. In which case, it does raise the question. There are earnings on March 2nd. So in the near future, but you don't need to go all the way out to July to get those earnings in there. That's what you're looking for. So kind of an interesting one, kind of a split in the uprights type of trade. Mr. Rock Lobster, what do you think they were up to? You think they were trading a nice tight bullish risk reversal, in which case they probably did it for about even money? Or do you think they maybe they sold all this, in which case they collected $2.25 worth of premium on about a $2 stock? So not a bad do either, sir. What do you think?
Well, you know, it's funny when you sell $2.24 a premium on a $2 stock, you're like, what's going on? Of course, the Viceroy would be shaking his head, God rest his soul. Yeah, this is I would, again, because they're kind of pressing both of these. It's everything is so in the middle here. It is definitely pressing my abilities here on the odd block, and wow. On the call side, it does feel like the calls were purchased 2.5. It has the feel of a risk reversal for 25 cents. Like, okay, I could see that's reasonable. So instead of spending, X dollars on the stock, you do a little better maybe on margin. And I can see that that's reasonable. Because they did sell a few more puts than calls. So maybe if we do the arithmetic, that sets the cost a little lower for the whole trade. So I can see a risk reversal here for 25, 24 cents. You only need one decent pop, and that trade is making money. So again, I don't think an unreasonable risk reversal, but and if the stock really doesn't do anything, you only are out a quarter. But it looks like a pretty busy trade when you just go buy the stock.
I just love the notion of the stock at 213. You could trade this strangle for 1.25. I love it. I love 2.25. I'm looking right now. The stock has run about 30 cents. Those puts are 55 at 70. So the selling them for $1 sure looks good. The 2 half calls are 85 at $1.
Wow.
Maybe they did sell this thing.
Wow, and they are, into some kind of news or anything? Because that's a pretty good vol crush.
Yeah, I mean, they paid 1.25 if they bought them, and now they're already offered at $1 in their face. So They will not be liking that.
And that's pretty classic. That's plain market maker meanness. Somebody's pissed they didn't get it, so they're offering it at 170.
45 at 165. Okay, I'll pay $1.24. How are they now? At $1.
I'm just saying that's you fill that order. You give the report to the customer, and a couple hours later, it's in your face by X dollars. So I mean, at least the risk reversal for a quarter still is kind of trading there. So I can see how the risk reversal plays. But yeah, if you just straight bought that strangle,
you couldn't get away with that if there was still a trading floor, because that's a recipe for the broker to come back and punch you in the face. They're at $1 now.
Yes, and when I was very young, I almost got punched in the face. Actually, doing that to one of the nicer floor brokers, sadly. But he basically came by and says, if you ever do that to me again, and I'm not going to curse because I was going to give me the potty mouth. He's like, I'll beat you on the head with a club. So.
Yeah, back in the days when making markets had consequences, Mr. Rock Lobster, you make that kind of market, the broker's not going to like it.
Not at all. Not at all.
Now, see, the AI takes over. They just spit out. There's no consequences, sir. The robots don't care. Robots don't care about getting punched in the face. They don't. That could be a title for the show. Robots don't care about getting punched in the face. And also the Rock Lobster, very angry about Mein Kampf. But you know what? Mr. Uncle Mike, he's angry. He wants to get his 2 cents in on the show because it's Monday. It is time for the strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the strategy block.
Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what is catching your eye out there in the world of strategery, sir?
All right. So with markets moving as they have, there may be some opportunities out there. Well, of course, I'm saying something that's redundant. There's always plenty of opportunities out everywhere in the marketplace. But what I did today on a covered call position with which we have, the stock has gone down. And so typically what we'll do with our covered call portfolio, at least what we're doing right now, is that we will just let covered calls expire worthless. However, unless it's an opportunity that we feel is very good, which in this case it was, we will take advantage of it. So for example, let's say that you own a stock and you sell a covered call against it. The stock goes down fairly significantly, and you're able to get out of that short call position for pennies on the dollar. Well, sometimes it makes sense to do that. Sometimes if you're not going to do anything else with it, then it makes sense to just stay on it. But we decided today we were in a stock and the stock went down. We still like the stock, but we were able to get out of the short call position at roughly 2.5% of the value of what we originally collected on the call itself. So by doing that, we were able to collect for our covered call on the month, 97.5% roughly of the premium that we wanted for the covered call premium. And with 2 weeks left, or this week and next week, I know next week's a shorter week with the government, with Lincoln's birthday, but with 2 weeks left, we're in a position now to where if for some reason that stock snaps back, then we're going to be in a really, really, really good spot because we were able to have our cake and eat it too. Now, there's a disadvantage to doing this too frequently, to where if you do it all the time, you'll miss out on that last little bit of premium. But if you feel that there is a chance for the stock to come back and you've already collected a lot of your premium, then it's not necessarily a bad thing to look at the risk reward and take it, which is what we did today. Now, make sure that you have rules for such things, because you don't want to just be going off all willy-nilly and half-cocked of things. One of our rules is that we never want to get out for less than 20%. So in other words, if you sell a call for $1, we're never going to, or I should say more than 20%, we would never get out of that $1 call that we sold for any more than 20 cents. Before, if it's 21 cents, we won't even think about it. But there's the other school of thought that's like, okay, you can get out of that call for 20 cents. then you're better off just getting out of it every time when you get to 80% of your profit and selling something for the next month. Well, in this case, we don't want to sell anything for the next month yet, so we're just going to sit on it. My point is this: make sure that you are fluid with your trading abilities, but also stay very stringent upon your rules, because ultimately, if you break your rules too often, it's going to hurt you in the long run. And that is our strategy block for today.
And now it is time for us to go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we tell you what we're keeping an eye on for the rest of the week. As I mentioned, we do have that non-farms coming up middle of the week, so that'll be an interesting one. Don't get that too often in terms of midweek reports. Coming into the end of the show, we're having mostly green on the screens now. The Dow has now ticked green ever so slightly, up about 0.05%. S&P up a little over 0.5%. NASDAQ up still 1%. VIX cash remaining stubbornly above that 17 handle, right around 17.10 or so, as we are coming in to the end of the show. By the way, our question of the week, which just went live, and also, by the way, you folks, let's see if there's any evolution. Yeah, right now, 60% of you want to buy those Feb 16s. 40% say a 16 handle in VIX just too low for you. So interesting. So I can certainly see what you're putting down out there. Our actual question of the week, you may have heard, listeners, unless you were living under a rock last week, that the new single name 0-day options listed on, your Teslas, your Apples, your Nvidias, all that fun. We said, hey, quite simply, are you trading these things right now? Gave you 4 choices. Yes, I'm already trading them. Or a nope, I'm kind of playing the wait and see game, see how they work out, see if there's any major issues. Or a no, because they just haven't listed my personal names that I trade yet. Or you're just not interested. And right now, 50% of you saying, yep, you're already trading them. And we have about 25% each for nope, I'm waiting and seeing, or you're not interested at all, which is kind of interesting. The Flowmaster already told us last week on the Thursday show that they're starting to add, looks like around 3 million contracts a day to the ADV. So folks are definitely interested in them right now. It looks like half of you so far are as well. Get over there at options and make your voice heard. Let's go out now to the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Rock Lobster. Sir, what are you keeping an eye on for the rest of the week?
Well, I think we have some jobs data, which is probably going to become a little bigger than normal, would be my guess. And we don't have a lot of earnings, so what kind of noise do we have? I think maybe VIX sees 16 or lower this week. It could be possible the way they're buying those 16 puts for a nickel.
How dare you say we don't have earnings? We have the beloved Oatly before the bell on Wednesday.
I still got some puts.
we all still got some Oatly in our back pockets for a rainy day.
You know what? I saw even when we bought those calls for nickel and the stock jumped. Take delivery, it'll be fine.
Famous last words.
Famous last words.
Who knows? Maybe we'll get a blockbuster number on Wednesday and Oatly all the way back to the par strike, sir. We shall see.
Could happen.
It could happen. Crazier things have happened. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what are you keeping an eye on this week?
Well, besides all my calls in Oatly, no, just kidding. Of course, we have the non-farm coming out midweek. All-time highs. Are we going to hit them again? Because if we do, then that could be another leg to the upside in that we've had our chaos. And for when I mean chaos, I'm talking just like a couple days like last week, meaning we were actually negative on the year, that maybe we've had our pullback. Maybe we've gotten our base built up for the 2026 rally. So watching that and then watching to see if gold and silver can actually make a move to the upside as well.
And don't forget your beloved crypto, sir. I know you're watching that. You love it. Can't get enough crypto action. And if you can't get enough crypto action, join us coming up after this show, listeners, at 2 p.m. Central. I will be joined by our good buddy, Mr. Bill, talk about all things crypto. Spoiler alert, there's a lot. There's a lot going on out there. So if you like a little vol, a little action, and you like some 0-day options, iBit certainly has them, then check out the Crypto Rundown. Yet another reason why you should be subscribed to the full network. And around the horn we go, Mr. Rock Lobster. Sir, if folks are intrigued, they want to check out all the cool goodies you got over there in the land of the pit, where should they go? What should they do?
Yeah, optionpit.com. We've got a zillion products. They are profitable. It's crazy. You come to Option Pit, you earn while you learn. And we've been doing it now for 15 years. I know we're just kids compared to the the behemoth of the Option Insider Radio Network, but still going, still trading every day, and having a grand old time.
A grand old time. You too can have a grand old time. OptionPit.com. And Mr. Uncle Mike, where should they go if they want to have a grand old time with you and perhaps discuss your many and varied thoughts on Mein Kampf, sir?
No thoughts on that, but go to my YouTube channel, type in St. Charles Wealth Management, putting out material somewhat frequently. It's going to continue to become more and more, trying to educate the masses, if you will. And then if you want to have a conversation with me, go to stcharleswealth.com, book an appointment. Always enjoy talking to any of our listeners.
If you put some of that YouTube content up about Mein Kampf, it would certainly get a response.
Don't know if it would be the one I'd want.
Probably not. You might get flagged and pulled down by YouTube, but it would be memorable, to say the least. Check them out before they yank them off, listeners, over there at stcharleswealth.com. Of course, if you want to check things out on the Pro, we'll be joined by our good buddy, Mr. Vixologist himself, tackling all your questions tomorrow on this week's Pro Q&A session. Yet another reason to check out the Pro. And of course, while you're checking things out, check out our friends over there at Tasty Trade, tastytrade.com/podcast, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. I got to get on out of here. Back again to talk all things crypto. Then back again to wrap up our day with the Hot Options Report. And then back again throughout the rest of the week until we're back again on Thursday with the Flow Master. Another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.